I'm on a video call with some shareholders, and out of nowhere, my high school group chat, silent for a decade, starts blowing up, tagging me like crazy. Sophia, haven't you seen Lily's Twitter? You're not going to her wedding? Scrolling through the non-stop messages, I realize that our high school queen bee, Lily, is walking down the aisle today. And it seems like everyone from our class is there. Sorry, work's been hectic. I just couldn't make it. I honestly try to explain, but the chat just piles on me. Busy with what? You never even tweet. Probably down on your luck, huh? Exactly. If you're ashamed to show your face, just say so. Why pretend to be a big shot? And Lily jumps in, remember our bet? I said my husband would be more successful than yours. I reply straight up, don't remember that. But the group just keeps at it. Lily's husband runs an entire conglomerate. They sent 100 limos to her hometown just for the wedding. Is your marriage that bad? Scared of being shown up, so you're acting all forgetful? Didn't even cover your share? Wanna start a GoFundMe, let us chip in a bit? As everyone continues their verbal assault, Lily tags me again, pretending to play nice. I really want you there to see me at my happiest. After all, we were once classmates, so I'll ask my husband to set you up with a cleaning job. She even throws in a pic with her groom. Seeing the photo, I'm stunned. That's my husband, George. Sure, I'll make it. Can't miss witnessing your special moment. Just as I hit send, a text from George comes in. Babe, I'm visiting my folks today. Prepped your meals, they're in the fridge. Just heat them up. I love you forever. George has lived with us for 3 years, always doting on me. Even when he's out, he considers my needs. I used to be moved by these sweet gestures. But now, it's just a joke. I end the video call and drive to the wedding spot. From Lily's post from a distance, I see a huge red banner over Lily's house. Warmly welcoming Mr. George, president of Q Group, for the wedding. Underneath stands Lily in a custom white gown, eagerly awaiting her groom, surrounded by our old classmates. Lily, this is wild. Only now do we learn your man's the big shot at Q Group. Yeah, George is a famous entrepreneur. You've truly landed a high-caliber husband. Lily, you're becoming a wealthy lady. Don't forget your old buddies. Even our old teacher Bruce chimes in. Lily, the first time I saw you, I knew you were destined for greatness. That's why I never criticized your poor grades. You're born for wealth, no need for academics. As everyone showers her with praise, Lily smirks, eyes full of pride. George, having nothing to do for years, was put in charge of my smallest group, Q Group, for some experience. Who knew it'd fuel Lily's bragging rights? Once I arrive, classmates who were just flattering Lily look at me with frowns and disgust. One of Lily's sidekick spots my car and rushes over with a sneer. Sophia, really? You rented a Bentley just to show up at Lily's wedding? Everyone else joins in. No wonder you showed up, to flaunt. It must cost you 3 months' salary to rent this car. Some people love to pretend rich. You can't outdo Lily's husband. Exactly. Why can't you admit someone else is better? Rent a car for what? Unfazed, I calmly say, it's my car. Right then, Lily storms over. Slaps me hard, your car? That's my husband's car. I've suspected he had a side chick, and it's you. You brazen woman. You dare drive my husband's car to my wedding to provoke me? Lily's words shock everyone, they widen their eyes. Lily, is this your husband's car? No way. Lily smugly says, of course it is. She whips out her phone, showing pics of her and George. In some, they're cozy in the car, others perched on the hood. Every detail, the car's insides and the plates, match my vehicle perfectly. As everyone gasps, they start concluding, Sophia's definitely the mistress. Lily, fuming, snaps back. No wonder you've been off Twitter, playing mistress. Everyone chimes in. Couldn't tell with Sophia. She always seemed so proper. right? I even wrote her a love letter back in school. Gross now to think about. She acts pure, but the second she sees money. Even dares bring her sugar daddy's car to the wife's face to show off. Just hates that Lily married well. Even the teacher glares at me with contempt. Sophia, don't claim you were ever my student. I've never taught someone so morally bankrupt. People were gossiping and criticizing, drawing quite a crowd. They all pointed fingers at me. Some took photos and videos with their phones, even spat on me. I took off my coat, worth tens of thousands, and tossed it into the trash. Then I turned to Lily and said, I suggest you ask George who the real mistress is. As soon as I said that, Lily slapped me again and said, do I need to ask? Can't you see today is my wedding day with George? She glanced at the car behind me and yelled angrily, I hate mistresses the most. All mistresses deserve to die. She pulled out a key and scratched some big words onto my car, mistress deserve to die. I looked at those words and said coldly, you'll soon realize how ironic those words are. Lily was furious, shouting, you wretch, stealing my man and mocking me? Just thinking about my husband's car being driven by a trollop like you makes me sick. She picked up a brick and started smashing my car, windows, lights, and hood. She didn't spare anything. She's the future CEO's wife of Q Group. We can't let someone like Sophia bully her. Someone shouted from the crowd of college friends. They all started grabbing whatever they could find and hammered away at my car. After they shattered the car windows, some even climbed inside and vandalized the seats and interior. They turned my once clean luxury car into a pile of scrap in no time. I looked at the rampaging crowd, my gaze icy. I hope you're as enthusiastic when it's time for compensation. But nobody paid attention. They treated me as if I didn't exist. Just then, one of Lily's lackeys pried open the trunk and yelled, look, she's hiding some treasures in here. Lily walked over, picked up a painting, and sneered, a woman making money with her body is pretending to be classy with a collection? I warned, the stuff's worth more than the car, especially the paintings. Don't mess with them. The items in my trunk were auction pieces I hadn't had a chance to store properly yet. Lily got even angrier and shouted, having trash like you own these paintings is an insult. Trash like you only deserves trash. She ripped the painting to pieces in front of me, tossed it onto the ground, and stomped on it. A teacher gasped, I've heard the starting auction price for this painting was $3 billion. Lily arrogantly replied, so what if it's $3 billion? It's all my husband's money anyway. What's mine is mine, and I have every right to destroy my own stuff. Her words left me speechless. George was practically a broke live-in son-in-law. Even if Q Group was handed to him, he'd run it into the ground due to incompetence. The company's market value plunged by nearly half with him. If he weren't my husband, I'd have fired him long ago. But Lily and these old classmates treated him like a powerful CEO, admiring him. With Lily leading, others followed suit, trashing everything in my trunk. They were beyond reasoning, so I put away my words and quietly called the cops from my phone. Just when I started dialing, Lily snatched my phone and smashed it on the ground. You think you can call the cops? As a mistress, what right do you have? She suddenly looked at the jade necklace around my neck and brightened up. That necklace looks pricey too, bet you bought it with my husband's money. With that, she yanked my necklace hard. Lily's move was fast and ruthless. I didn't have time to react before the necklace was in her hands. My face changed dramatically. Give it back. Seeing me anxious, Lily smirked. So it's valuable, huh? Panicked, I said, it's not worth much, but it's important to me, please give it back. I reached to grab it. That jade necklace was a charm my mom got with her life for me. I was frail and sickly as a kid. At 4, I was critically ill and comatose in the hospital. The doctors told my parents to prepare for the worst. My mom couldn't accept it and went to pray for me at a temple. To show sincerity, in the scorching summer heat, she climbed from the mountain base to the top, bowing every step. Her knees were bloody, white bones showing, her head bloodied and faint. She got me that necklace. Maybe heaven took pity, and I miraculously woke up from the coma. But my mom fell gravely ill and never recovered before she passed. She handed me the necklace, telling me to keep it safe. I treasured it dearly, always carrying it with me. It's not just a necklace, it's my keepsake, my mom's legacy. You want it so much, I'll destroy it. Before I could grab it, Lily smashed it onto the ground. With a clear cracking sound, the jade shattered. Pieces scattered everywhere. No. Watching the necklace that my mom obtained at the cost of her life shatter was like a knife to my heart. I felt suffocated. You beast. I lost it and slapped Lily hard across the face. You bitch, you dare hit me? Lily screamed, holding her face. Teach this tramp a lesson. Whoever satisfies me gets $1,000,000. That bunch of classmates who already disliked me started punching and kicking me. Who are you to hit Lily? She's a CEO's wife now, and you think you're worthy? Exactly, it's just a broken necklace, you earn it back by keeping company with men, what's the big deal? Shameless mistress, seducing men and hitting the wife, you think old classmates are easy to bully? Even Bruce snuck in a couple of kicks. They beat me to the ground. I lay there trembling in anger. You'll regret this, I gritted my teeth. Hearing that, those old classmates burst into laughter as if they had heard the biggest joke. You think this is high school? You think being the top student makes you better than us? Yeah, you're just trash dumped by society now. You earn money by selling your body and dare to threaten us? A mistress should know her place. Stand straight when you're hit. You're a shameless tramp. Stealing husbands and you're targeting your old classmate's husband? Aren't you embarrassed? If I were you, I'd have bashed my head in already. They pinned me down and mocked me without holding back. The crowd around us also criticized me openly, spitting at me. Supported by the crowd, Lily stepped forward and put her foot on my face arrogantly, saying, "Regret? I've never regretted anything in my life. Let's see how you make me regret, you cheap mistress." Just as she finished, hundreds of luxury cars sped over and stopped in front of everyone. Then, George got out of the car, followed by a group of men in suits. The massive and impressive sight instantly silenced the noisy crowd. Everyone's eyes were drawn to them. My classmates who had pinned me down let go and stood straight, looking over there. Lily quickly retracted her foot and tried to look all gentle and demure. George, with his dashing looks and dressed in a custom suit, commanded attention as soon as he appeared. Is that George from the Q group? Yes, that's him. It's no surprise, he's the big CEO after all. Look at this extravagant wedding parade. So grand. I wouldn't dare dream of so many luxury cars in my wildest dreams. And he's so handsome. Handsome and rich. No wonder that Sue girl would want to be his mistress. Lily's so lucky to be marrying someone like that. I'm jealous. With everyone admiring them, Lily proudly stepped forward and took George's arm. You finally arrived. I've been dying to marry you. George gave Lily a loving smile and pulled her into his arms. I love how you can't live without me, my darling. Seeing this, each old classmate stepped forward, trying to curry favor. George, I run a small ad company. If the Q group needs ads, could you consider us first? Here's my card. George, we've developed a new product, just for you to try. If you like it, we'd appreciate your feedback. George, I'm an old classmate who sat next to Lily for 3 years. I've always admired you. Does Q group need anyone? I'm willing to learn anything. All at once, every old classmate crowded around George, offering themselves in every possible way. Seeing my former classmates groveling before George made Lily's smile even brighter. She was thoroughly enjoying her superior status. George's assistant collected the pile of business cards as he seemed unfazed by it all. At this point, Lily's mom approached with a smile and said, "We've prepared special tea at home just for you. Come in and have a rest." George looked at his watch. No, it's getting late. I've booked a hotel and banquet. There should be enough cars for all of you to come along. Sure, let's go. Everyone nodded and headed towards the luxury cars. The thought of attending the Q Group CEO's wedding made them glow with excitement, as if they had reached the pinnacle of their lives. Just as they were about to get in the cars, the sound of sirens approached quickly. A group of police officers rushed out, yelling, "Freeze! We received a report of a disturbance and intentional injury here." The arrival of the police instantly broke the celebratory mood. The classmates, who had been so eager moments ago, were now panicking. Some didn't even dare to lift their heads, afraid of getting into trouble. George was taken aback, puzzled, and looked at Lily. "What's happening? Why are the police here?" Lily, looking a bit guilty, stammered, "My classmates said they'd deal with a mistress for me, so they taught a woman a lesson." Upon hearing that, George's expression showed a hint of discomfort. "Mistress? What mistress? You know I have only you in my heart. Why would I have a mistress?" Lily pouted innocently. "Okay, maybe I was wrong. But even if she's not your mistress, she was ruining my wedding. The punishment was deserved." The classmates quickly chimed in. "This woman has always been jealous of Lily since high school, never wanted to see Lily doing well. Lily kindly invited her, and she came to cause trouble. Yeah, she was always against Lily in school. We just couldn't stand her arrogance anymore." These classmates were intent on securing Lily's favor today. Now, any chance to badmouth me to George was seized eagerly. Lily's mom took the opportunity to say, "Lily took this wedding so seriously. If that girl hadn't been taught a lesson, where would your and Lily's dignity be?" George nodded slightly after listening to them. Since they're bullying Lily, giving them a lesson isn't a problem. Seeing that George agreed with their actions, Lily gained confidence immediately. She stood straight, facing the police with assurance. "Someone first came to my wedding to cause trouble. We had no choice but to fight back." Hearing this, the policeman frowned slightly and said directly, "Whatever happened, you need to come back to the station with me to give a full account." Upon hearing that, those old classmates of mine who were involved in the fight panicked again. However, Lily remained confident. "I'm not going. Today is my big wedding day, and I'm not going to the police station." She looked at George. "You're the CEO of Q Group, connected to so many people. Talk to the police for me." Hearing this, the other participants also looked to George for help. "Yeah, George, since you're a big deal, the police will give you some face. Today is your and Lily's big day. It would be a shame if everyone had to spend it at the police station." "Exactly, Q Group is a top company in our province. You say the word, and this will be resolved for sure." Lily's mom couldn't help but add, "Today is your happy day with Lily. So many family and friends are watching. Don't let us lose face." Faced with everyone's plea for help, George, with a bit of arrogance, faced the police. "I'm George, CEO of Q Group. I know your city department leader. Can this be overlooked?" After hesitating for 2 seconds, the police officer replied seriously, "Fighting in public? It doesn't matter who you know. Besides, I don't decide whether it can be overlooked. You shouldn't put me in a tough spot. Unless you get the victim's forgiveness and they don't press charges." Hearing this, George smirked confidently. "That's easy. I doubt anyone would dare to go against me." He looked at Lily. "Where's the person you hit?" Lily immediately led George through the crowd, pointing at me on the ground. "This is the one. I was lying there, disheveled and battered. Quite pathetic." George didn't recognize me at first glance. He walked up, glanced over my injuries dismissively, and said with disdain, "So, you're the old classmate who bullied Lily a lot, huh? I'm Lily's husband. Technically, you're unforgivable for bullying Lily, but since you've been taught a lesson, I'm willing to let it go. Today is my wedding day with Lily, and I won't allow any mishaps. You only have some surface wounds, so I'll compensate you later. Let's settle it this way. Surely you don't have any objections?" George's words were casual and arrogant. It felt like someone of his status talking to me was a huge favor, and I had no right to refuse. But I just snorted in response. Seeing this, George frowned slightly. "What? Not satisfied?" He paused for a moment, then added, "Whatever, since today is my big day, I won't fuss too much. How about this? If you ever need anything, you can come to Q Group to find me." No matter what it is, I'll take care of it for you. Is that enough? George looked down on me disdainfully, clear annoyance in his eyes. As if he saw me as a little person with unreasonable demands. Hearing this, Lily was quite displeased and said to me, "You should be grateful. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. If it weren't for being old classmates, would you get such treatment?" Other old classmates couldn't help but feel envious. "Yeah, you still think you were that star student everyone adored in high school? George compensating you is a blessing." It's because George is kind-hearted. If it were someone else, would you have such luck? Still lying there acting, get up and thank George properly. Probably laughing while lying on the ground, thinking George's favor is the biggest honor of your life because of George's so-called compensation. These old classmates, who already disliked me, were now even more annoyed, acting like I stole something from them. With everyone's agitation, George gradually lost his patience. He told me impatiently, "For Lily's sake, I've been gracious to you. Don't be too greedy, or if you disrupt my wedding, don't blame me for being rude." Under George's threat, I endured the pain and slowly got to my feet. Then, I brushed my messy hair aside and faced George, speaking softly. "George, you really like throwing your weight around." The first time I met George was one night in pouring rain. He was driving home. The heavy rain and dark night were hampering my visibility. Suddenly, George appeared in front of the car out of nowhere, catching me off guard. I slammed on the brakes but still hit him. Watching him fly a few meters from the impact left me in shock. I quickly got out to take him to the hospital, but he struggled to get up, said he was fine, and walked away. Watching him limp off into the rainy night moved something in my heart. That was my first encounter with such an extraordinary man. I tried everything to find out more about him. Eventually, I found out he worked at my dad's company. I was thrilled, thinking it was destiny. So, I joined my dad's company as an intern that day. When George saw me there was a moment of surprise in his eyes. I found out that George was also an intern, having just started not long ago. He wasn't particularly sharp and seemed somewhat slow-witted. But growing up in the countryside, he was used to hardships, which made him hardworking, dedicating himself diligently to his job without a slack moment. No matter when, I could always find him focused in front of the computer. That persistence made me look at him in a new light. Originally set to be terminated due to lack of performance, my behind-the-scenes moves got him a permanent position early. He was joyous that day, radiant and spirited. After becoming permanent, he worked even harder. I admired his tenacity and gradually grew closer to him. After getting to know him, I realized that George, who seemed dull and silent at first, could actually talk up a storm. He often had me laughing out loud. Being with him always felt easy and comfortable. Even in the silence between us, his presence was reassuring. But the story of us crossing the line from friends to something more begins with a damsel in distress moment. I had just left a gathering when I ran into some drunk guys who started harassing me. I was scared and felt helpless until George suddenly appeared like a knight in shining armor. Though he ended up getting beaten up by those drunks, he saved me from harm. That was the first time my heart skipped a beat for this man who risked himself for me. While George was recovering in the hospital, I couldn't hold back and confessed my feelings. He accepted with open arms, and that's how we started dating. During our relationship, I treated him like any normal person. We'd enjoy street food, go for long walks, visit parks, catch movies, and have fun at amusement parks. Our days were simple and happy. Later, I brought George home to meet my dad. The moment George found out I was the daughter of the wealthiest person, he became nervous and uneasy. My dad knew George was from a rural background but never looked down on him. He didn't care about equal social status because no one was wealthier than us. My father had just one requirement: George would have to move into our family since I was his only child, and he didn't want me marrying out of the family. I thought George would hesitate, be conflicted, or even refuse since he was an only child too, and moving in with a wife's family can be seen as degrading for a man. But to my surprise, George agreed without a second thought. He even promised then and there to love and cherish only me for life. To show his sincerity, George signed a prenup that day, assuring me that in case of any misconduct on his part after marriage, he'd leave with nothing. I was deeply moved. After we got married, George was always caring, gentle, and attentive. He looked after me in every way he could. Wanting him to have a solid reputation, I entrusted him with managing the Q group, hoping it would add to his achievements even though the company didn't flourish under his management. I never blamed him. My only wish was for us to live happily together while he loved me wholeheartedly. Everything else was secondary. For years, I lived in the illusion of George's passionate love, convincing myself that I had found true love. But thinking back now, it seems ironic and laughable. When George's eyes met mine, he went pale and froze with shock and fear. Before he could speak, Lily chimed in, "Sophia, what makes you think you can call my husband by his full name?" Our old classmates joined in, shouting, "Exactly, don't think George is making amends with you that you can act recklessly. Without Lily, you are nothing to George." Yeah, someone as lowly as you should never even dream of seeing George, let alone having any significance. Seeing them hurl these insults, my heart remained steady. But George's expression darkened. I looked at him with a mocking smile and calmly asked, "George, did you hear them? They say I'm not worthy of your name. What do you think?" The casual question seemed to buckle George's knees, nearly making him collapse. Just as he trembled and was about to speak, Lily cut in, "You wretch, how dare you talk to my husband like that? I'll beat you today." She moved closer, hand raised, ready to slap me. But George, quicker than her, grabbed her hand firmly. Lily was stunned, looking at George incredulously. "Why are you stopping me? Are you feeling sorry for this wretched woman? Or is she really your mistress?" Her words caused an immediate uproar. Our old classmates stared wide-eyed at us. "No way, is Sophia really George's mistress?" "Seems like it. Why else would George help her? Just a mistress, she can't possibly compare to Lily, his official partner." "Right, George is just stopping Lily because the police are around. He wants to protect Lily by doing this." Lily tugged on George's arm, pleading gently, "Even if she is your mistress, you don't have to stop me from hitting her. I am the one you're publicly marrying." Her words were full of grievance. George angrily shrugged off Lily's hand and shouted, "Get lost." Lily stumbled backward, looking at George in complete disbelief. His reaction was unexpected, not just for her but for everyone else too. The crowd was left puzzled. What's happening? Under everyone's gaze, George fell to his knees in front of me, voice trembling, "Sophia, I'm sorry." George's public apology and use of my name stunned the old classmates. Everyone was bewildered, with Lily questioning her reality. What on earth is going on? "Lily, why did George call Sophia wife? What's their relationship?" Old classmates, realizing what's happening, began pressuring Lily for answers. Lily turned ghost pale, appearing deeply shaken. She took a moment to compose herself before exploding at George. "George, what is going on? Why are you calling this despicable mistress wife? Today is our wedding day, how can you call someone else your wife right in front of me?" Lily lost her cool entirely, unable to accept the turn of events. "Didn't you say I was the only one in your heart? You said you were single. You said marriage certificates didn't matter, as long as I got a grand wedding. How could you lie to me? Answer me." Lily was getting more and more worked up. She grabbed George's hand and started shaking it non-stop. George shook her off and yelled angrily, "Just shut up already. Do you even know you're wrecking my life?" Lily stumbled backward, shocked. She stared at George, who now seemed like a stranger to her. She never dreamed the man she loved so much could have this side. George wasn't thinking about Lily's feelings. He was worried for himself. Still on his knees, he turned to me, speaking earnestly, "Sophia, I know I messed up, please forgive me this time." He didn't care about his pride anymore. His tone was so humble, a complete 180 from his previous arrogance. I looked at him, expressionless, and said, "George, before we got married, you promised me you'd love only me forever. And now look at this." I pointed at Lily and continued, "You say you love me, but you're out there marrying someone else? No wonder I used to run into you randomly, and you'd leave without a word. No wonder you, coincidentally, showed up to save me from those drunken guys before, then told me not to hold them accountable, saying they were just confused. No wonder you didn't even blink when I brought you home and you learned who I really am. Thinking back, you must have been targeting me all along. The car accident back then, that was really just your way of getting close to me, wasn't it? You already knew about my family, so you did everything to get my attention. Using me as a stepping stone for success, taking my money to support other women? George, you really hid well. I used to be wrapped up in George's so-called love for me without a hint of doubt. Turns out, all those touching moments were just part of his plan. How laughable. I really thought I'd found true love. I thought George was the most important person in my life. My wife, I truly love you. I'll sort this out, I promise, it won't happen again. George begged, clinging to me from his knees, panic written all over his face, like he was genuinely scared of losing me. Lily, still confused, asked George, George, why are you kneeling to her? You're the CEO of Q Group. Even if she's your wife, there's no need to stoop so low. Why are you sucking up to her like this? George, eyes blazing with anger, glared at Lily and shouted, because I'm the one who married into her family. Everything I have is because of her. Lily and all our old classmates were shocked at George's response. Only then did they realize they'd underestimated the situation completely. I looked at them coldly and turned to the police, saying sternly, these people slandered and attacked me in public and destroyed my priceless antique paintings. I won't accept any mediation, please handle this seriously. All right. The police nodded and quickly took everyone involved to the station. Before leaving, they reminded me to bring proof of the damages, like purchase receipts, and my injury report to the station for a detailed investigation. I went to the hospital to take care of my injuries, got my reports, and headed to the police station with all my documents. Inside, the old classmates who were cocky were now downcast. They'd been trying to curry favor with Lily because of George's position, assuming she was the president's wife of Q Group. So they fawned over her. But now they realized the so-called president's wife was just a mistress they'd been dismissive of all along. And I, the one they belittled, was the one they should have been respecting. It left a bad taste in their mouths. They looked at Lily with eyes that could kill. Lily was utterly defeated, facing the biggest setback of her life. It wasn't just about the massive compensation, it was finding out she was the mistress she claimed to despise. Her wedding turned to mockery. She became a laughing stock. She couldn't handle it. The police went over the documents I brought and calculated that the damages caused by Lily and the others amounted to $790 million. Hearing that number, everyone was stunned. No way, how could that be? Even if she's not the mistress, she couldn't have that kind of money. Officers, she must be scamming you. Yeah, we were all in high school together, and she was so simple back then. She didn't look rich at all. Right, you should really check where her money came from. It could be dirty money. Yeah, definitely somebody else's money. The old classmates were still in denial, making a last-ditch effort to save themselves. They didn't believe my money was clean, talking trash with every word. The police officer scoffed, we already checked it out. She's the daughter of the richest person. Her wealth is beyond your imagination. She's low-key, which you mistook as a reason to bully her. His words left everyone speechless. The officer added, just the damages you caused could have you behind bars for a long time. Instead of questioning her identity, you should think about how to compensate her since she doesn't want to settle amicably. $790 million. For everyone there, that was too much. They couldn't pay it and tried to weasel out. A few classmates, stubborn as ever, said to me, we've known each other so long, and you're so rich now. Why are you going after us? This is just a misunderstanding. We can just talk it through. We've been classmates for years, you don't need to drive us into a corner. It's just a car and some collectibles. You're the richest heiress, don't be petty about it. Right, you look fine, so don't be uptight about this. They all spoke so self-righteously, like $790 million was just a few words for them. Or maybe, they thought I was rich, still alive, so I must take one for the team and eat the loss. I chuckled coldly and said straight out, "Now you guys remember we're all classmates, huh? Where was that camaraderie when you were beating me up? You were so arrogant when you smashed my stuff. Now you want me to just let it slide? What's up with that? You got the guts to smash things but not to pay up." Back in high school, I was always keeping a low profile, minding my own business. Never caused any trouble. But Lily, she always picked on me, called me a snob, said I wasn't a team player, and would gang up on me with others. They loved to egg her on back then. To avoid drama, I just sucked it up, hid when I could. Little did I know, my backing down made them more brazen, and today they didn't hold back, trying to beat me to death. If I don't teach them a lesson now, they'll just keep pushing weaker people around. Seeing I wasn't budging, my old classmates finally panicked. Instead of fighting me, they all turned on Lily. "It's all your fault, you liar. Blabbing your mouth off without knowing the facts. Yeah, claiming to be someone's wife while you're just a mistress, dragging us into this mess. Always saying you're the wife of the Q Group CEO. Got any shame? We tried so hard to suck up to you, now look at the mess we're in. You pay these $790 million on your own, we're not covering for you." Faced with their accusations, Lily was furious and fought back. "You all got some nerve blaming me. Ever since high school, you've been pushing me to bully people. If you weren't looking to cozy up to the big shots, always pushing me on, would I have done any of this? When you thought I was the CEO's wife, you were all sweet and sucking up. Now it's a mess, and you turn on me, huh? You're just spineless sycophants, and today, none of you are getting away." Lily and the old classmates started arguing, nearly coming to blows until the cops stepped in. After all that bickering, the classmates started making excuses. They said they hadn't smashed anything, that it was all someone else. But when the cops showed surveillance footage, they were speechless, couldn't say anything more. Everyone had to pay for what they did. Some begged for money to avoid jail, trying every way to scrape it together, leaving beaten down after paying up. Others got served divorce papers, cut off by family and friends, and without options, ended up in detention. As for Lily, she was the most energetic during the riot, and her debt was the heaviest. Stuck with this huge compensation, Lily had no choice but to turn to George. "George, for what we've shared, help me out. I can't pay this, not even if you sold me." Lily pleaded tearfully, trying to win sympathy. George hesitated but looked at me, begging, "Honey, do we really need to be so harsh? For the sake of our years together, give me some face and let it go." I stared at him coldly. "Give you face? George, have some dignity. You think you still have face with me?" Thinking about our years, how I was fooled by his lies made me sick. "The divorce papers are ready. From today, we're done." I turned and walked away. And so, Lily and those who couldn't pay were sued and jailed. Even my high school teacher was investigated because of this. George? According to the agreement, he left with nothing. I returned to a peaceful single life from what was supposed to be lifelong companionship. It took adjusting, but I found it freeing. One morning, while jogging, I saw George, looking rough and unkempt, waiting on my running path. As soon as he saw me, he rushed over, brandishing a knife, looking wild-eyed. "You vile woman, finally caught you." I frowned slightly. "Calm, George, what are you trying to do?" He stared at me, yelling, "What do you think? You ruined me, from a top-level exec to fighting stray dogs for scraps, and you dare ask me that? I was with you for money, so what? Every guy's got wandering eyes. Why shouldn't I find true love once I've got cash? Why should you make my life hell over it?" Seeing him like this, I sighed, speaking sincerely, "George, you're still young. If you drop the knife now, you've got a chance." George screamed and edged closer. "Because of you, I've lost everything. You won't let me live in peace, so neither will you. Die." He lunged with the knife, but just then, my bodyguard, whom I'd arranged for after realizing George's nature, sprang into action and kicked him away. Knowing George wouldn't just let things go, I'd ensured I had protection. "Take him to the police," I said coldly, then returned home. Later, I heard he got into fights in prison because of his temper, and got beaten so bad he was left crippled for life. As for me, I got back on track, taking charge of my life. I stopped depending on others for happiness. Being on my own is alright, there's no disappointment, no betrayal. Just honesty and freedom. We women can be beautiful and free on our own, without needing a man. Loving yourself is the beginning of lifelong romance.